The evening air in the city was filled with sirens, hurried footsteps, and the glow of headlights bouncing off glass walls. Inside St. Mary's General Hospital, life followed its usual rhythm. Nurses darted in and out of wards, doctors rushed toward emergencies, and families anxiously filled the waiting area. But nothing could have prepared them for what was about to unfold at the hospital entrance that night. Through the sliding doors staggered a tiny golden retriever puppy, barely 2 months old. His fur was matted, his little paws blackened from the rough pavement, and his chest rose and fell in rapid breaths. Strapped awkwardly to his fragile back was an old, heavy backpack that looked far too large for him to carry. The nurses near the reception froze. "Is that a puppy?" one of them whispered. The little retriever, though trembling with exhaustion, stood on his hind legs right in the center of the lobby. With watery eyes, he pressed his front paws together as though in prayer. A desperate plea for help. The entire room fell silent. Patients waiting for their checkups stopped mid-sentence. Doctors paused in their stride, and even children clung to their mothers, wide-eyed at the sight. The pup let out a weak whimper, then collapsed to the floor, the heavy backpack dragging beside him. A nurse, her eyes already brimming with tears, rushed forward and carefully unzipped the backpack. What she saw made her gasp so loudly that the whole lobby leaned in to see. Inside was a newborn kitten so tiny it could barely fit in a palm. Its fur was wet, clumped and cold. Its breaths were faint, shallow gasps. The kitten's fragile body was curled into a trembling ball, barely hanging on to life. The puppy, even as he lay weak on the ground, kept his tired eyes fixed on the backpack. Every ounce of his being screamed one message: "Save my friend." In an instant, the entire hospital lobby sprang into action. Doctors who had moments earlier been rushing to other tasks knelt on the floor. Nurses scrambled to fetch blankets, warm towels, and a small oxygen mask. Someone hurried to the pediatric ward for an incubator. The puppy whimpered louder when the kitten was lifted out, as though begging them not to hurt it. His chest heaved, his body shaking, but he refused to look away. "Don't worry, little one," a doctor whispered, gently stroking the kitten's frail head. "We're going to save your friend." The sight broke everyone's heart. Patients who had come for their own treatments wiped their eyes. A mother hugged her child close, whispering, "Do you see? Even animals love each other this much." The kitten was rushed into a side room, wrapped in a warm towel and connected to tubes, while another nurse brought a shallow dish of water for the puppy. But the tiny retriever was so drained he couldn't even lift his head to drink. A young veterinarian who happened to be visiting the hospital that evening stepped forward. "Let me take care of him," she said softly. Kneeling beside the pup, she stroked his head gently and whispered words of comfort. She gave him glucose water drop by drop, her hands steady despite the tears streaming down her face. Slowly, the puppy blinked, his eyes fluttering open, and let out a faint whine. He seemed to understand. His friend was being cared for, and he could finally allow himself to rest. Hours passed. The hospital lobby had transformed from a place of routine appointments into a scene of pure compassion and unity. Strangers who had never met before sat together, waiting for updates on the tiny kitten's condition. Doctors from different departments checked in between shifts, unable to shake the image of the trembling puppy carrying the heavy backpack all the way there. Finally, near midnight, the veterinarian emerged, holding the newborn kitten in her arms. Its tiny chest now rose and fell with steady breaths, its fur dry and warmed by blankets. The room erupted in relieved applause and tears. The puppy, though weak, managed to wag his tail when he saw the kitten. With a soft whimper, he nudged forward, touching his nose to the kitten's tiny paw. The bond between them was undeniable, a bond of sacrifice, loyalty, and love. One of the senior doctors cleared his throat, his voice breaking as he spoke. "In all my years of medicine, I've never seen anything like this. Tonight, this little puppy taught us the true meaning of friendship and courage." The story of the puppy and the kitten spread beyond the hospital walls. Videos taken by patients that night went viral, melting hearts around the world. People donated food, medicine, and toys for the two little survivors, who were later adopted together by the veterinarian who had saved them. From that day forward, whenever anyone visited her clinic, they would often find the golden retriever pup and the once fragile kitten curled up together, inseparable, reminding everyone who saw them of that unforgettable night at the hospital. And in the quiet moments, when the puppy pressed his paws together again, the veterinarian would smile and whisper, "You don't need to beg anymore, little one. You and your friend are safe now."